I have no idea. I really don't. I am like, you know. I know I'm gonna do both of them anyway. Let's do the Grand Tree first. We'll mix it up. They breached the forest as they would normally, but the elves were highly on edge. Mirth's flower was the only thing that let them pass through unharmed. Saren felt uncomfortable with the tension in the air. Even the trees seemed to have been burning eyes that followed him as he walked. It only got worse as they walked into the Grand Tree. All the residents stopped to scowl at the human party members. It wasn't long before the elves began to shout awful things at them. Phew! Go back to your blood capital! Ignore them, you're with me. Saren felt stronger with his mistress by his side, but it didn't keep the words from hurting. When someone shouted a war cry behind them, they turned to see an enraged elf charging Armapiki with a long blade. He managed to parry the elf's attack with a loud clink. The other elves watching started hollering indistinguishably, but almost as if they were rooting for Saren's death. It was chaos then. Other elves swarmed the group and they fought back. This is a solid party. Let's do this. I'm gonna have to drop this elf druid first.
I don't like you.
Got to take all of these enemies down. Gotta fight 'em, yeah, we're fighting and stuff. We're gonna fight them. They are really weak compared to other enemies we fought up until now. So they're gonna die pretty quickly. Die pretty quickly.
I wouldn't be
Yep.
useful.
Boom. Victory is ours. And hey, I leveled up. Good. Wonderful. Okay. So on 33, and let's jump the strength up to 12. And I've got a skill point left. So I could get life, I could get resurrect, energy, shield, or neutralize. Ooh. This is a pretty damn good one to get. I'm gonna work on energy next. Alright. Done. The elf stopped shouting when Saren plunged his sword deep into the belly of the last attacker. It was quiet when he died. Stay away from him! Self-defense! What is this? Loren! Saren! All you see before you is a human, and not a person much like you. Your laws clearly have accommodations for those who acted in self-defense. But that does not matter now. I invoke my right to pardon him and all of Loren's group. So says the forest. You have never once exercised that power in your reign as Elder Druid. You insult us by using it now. I'd rather insult you than take an innocent life. You have your pardon. Take your humans and your enemies. Thank you so much. I am glad to be alive. The elders, they will not listen to reason. I have exhausted all of my resources, all of my magic, and every ounce of persuasion in me, but they still refuse to believe that the humans did not start this war. They wish to see the human race extinct so badly? I hardly think that is a fair statement, given how the Empire has made several actual movements to cleanse the world of the elves. Calm yourselves. Do not forget that our goal is peace between your two races.
I apologize.
The truth of the matter is the elders cannot believe that the demons would instigate the war. They believe they are not capable of such a plan, and the only time in history they were ever clever enough is under the rule of Faust. Ain't that what the Archwizard kept yapping about? Faust has returned and is controlling them again. I've told them the theory that Faust has returned, but they refuse to believe that too.
What the blast not?
Because of the manner that Faust was originally defeated. He is a possessed suit of armor, and when he was first defeated in the Old War, his armor was entombed and sealed permanently. Is it possible that the seals have failed? The seals were made by men. Only the gods have perfection in what they do. We need your people to end this war and make a treaty with the Empire. What will it take? The elders are not fools, and will see reason in time. They are frightened at the moment, so I believe if we show them solid proof that Faust has risen again, then they will reconsider this war. All we have to do is prove that Faust is alive without a doubt. Convince the elders that Faust is still alive. Dun-dun. But those old guys made sure that wouldn't ever happen, didn't they? That is why the elders cannot believe he is reincarnated. It is difficult for me to believe too. Wasn't that old guy talking about how he defeated Faust back then? I'm pretty sure he said something like that in between all the blathering and accusing me of stuff. Yes, Apollomesher did say he brought down that demon once. He may know more about proving his existence. Let's go find him then. Well, that decides my next course of action nicely. The party used their medallion to pass the new security posts into the heavily guarded city of Grimoire. Even though they presented the medallion at the gate guards, they had to detain the elves in the party before letting Loren and the others through. To their dismay, the elves were asked to wait with the guard until Loren's return. Ray and Draco were escorted away reluctantly, with a promise from Loren that they would be found again soon. They asked around for the old wizard's home and found the Grand Wizard's tower for an immediate audience.
You've come.
How did the council react to the news of the demon treachery?
Not well, I'm afraid. As I expected, they refused to acknowledge that the elves may not have attacked first.
I have had no luck with the forest elders either. Our two nations dearly wish to be at war, it seems. How can we convince people so determined to see what they want to see? Do I need to speak with the council myself?
The council is a lost cause. It is full of dying, greedy politicians who are only interested in their own personal glory rather than the actual good of the nation.
Do not forget that you are a councilman too.
I was a council member as the Archwizard. I am no longer.
Why? What happened?
I was just discharged from the council not too long ago. I am lucky not to be shackled in a dungeon as well. Any implication that the council is mistaken is considered treason, however true.
Well, I can't say that don't sound right for the Empire. They just toss you out on your bum if you so much as look at them funny.
I've said it before and I will say it again. Vigilance is the only way to survive in today's dark times. They stripped me of my title to keep their ranks loyal. Unfortunately, they have made a grave mistake.
They dishonor you, and that's all they got to say. They were just being vigilant. So how do we get the Empire on our side if not through the council?
We must appeal to the army generals themselves. There are two major figures in the Empire's military that, if swayed to our cause, could easily unite all of the soldiers under our banner as well.
Who are they? Where will we find them?
General Astron and General Samael, who we should seek. General Ashton is in the lower-ranking general, so we should approach him first.
Fine, where is he now?
That is difficult to say. Since I am no longer a man of power here in Grimoire, I do not have access to that information.
So we have to do this the hard way.
I can say that Lord Ashton and I fought Faust together in the Old War. He was very young, but if there was one thing that was clear about him, is that he was full of ideas. He was a passionate man who believed deeply in justice and fought for what is right. Without him, we might not have defeated the demons. I know that if we show him that the elves are not his enemy, he will not lead a war against them. That is fact.
Convince Astron. Show him the elves are not his enemy. How would we do that? The problem is, the elves consider the Empire their enemy as it stands, so it cannot be a simple thing to prove if both sides are still battling each other.
Therein lies the dilemma.
We have to think of something. We have no more time to waste. Well, I have your attention, Archwizard. We need to speak to you about another matter concerning the war. We know you fought the demon Faust in the old war, so you are the most knowledgeable source on him that we know.
What do you wish to know?
We need to prove that he's back from the dead, because the elves won't stop the war otherwise. What would you suggest?
Faust is comprised of an unrivaled suit of armor. What you may not know is that the armor requires all of the pieces to be together to summon Faust's spirits.
Reassembling the armor would revive Faust. That's a scary thought.
You must know, however, that his armor is indestructible. The only way to keep him from being reanimated is to keep the pieces of his suit away, far away from each other.
That is all the security this world has been afforded? Just to keep the parts separate? It is no great wonder that he happens to walk again.
Mind you, we used everything in our power to make sure that the pieces were sealed away permanently.
If the seals were permanent, then how could he possibly be alive?
Faust is a greater demon than we could have imagined. He is capable of tricking all of us, it seems. I do not know how else to bring him down, but at least our previous method worked for some time.
You must admit that the world has been free of Faust's existence for a while, thanks to the Archwizard. We cannot deny the service that Apollomeshu and his team have given us, and they are due quite a bit of respect. But the matter now is how we prove to the Forest Elders that he is alive again. If it only takes getting the pieces of the armor together again to reanimate him, then wherever they were stored must have been breached, right? We can prove that. I do believe you're onto something there, Saren.
That is an idea.
We can go to one of the tombs where a piece of his armor is kept and see if it is missing. Are the elders going to come with us all the way there?
That's not necessary.
The party jumped and looked to see it clearly hearing Ray's voice. Good job. Mer can just use her powers of farsight to share her eyes with the elders.
How did you get in here?
Trade secrets, sorry. Mirth. Yes, I do have the ability to let them see what I see. This is the best idea we have at the moment, so I think we should get through with it.
Does that sound good, Majesty?
Very well. If this is the only way to convince your elven leaders to stop this war, then we will rely on Apollomeshu to show us where Faust's armor should be.
In interest of stopping the bloodshed, I will not object. The pieces of Faust were entombed in the mountains, so we will need to find one of them.
I'm sorry, Archwizard, but I cannot tell you right now. But I can tell you right now that just one tomb will not be enough to convince the elders otherwise.
If we must, we will travel to as many tombs as necessary. I pray your elves regain their senses quickly, as there are more important matters.
I will work only as their vessel. It is not up to me to decide. So you needn't look at me that way. Let us find these tombs before the war destroys us all. Woo! There are lots of crypts. Crypts. Time to go to camp. Why? Because there are people to talk to. Apollomeshu has returned. Why were you exiled from the council?
You know very well why. I spoke truths that the council did not want to hear. It's as it sounds, unfortunately.
But what does that mean? Did you lose your title of Archwizard?
The Wizards Guild is still in deliberation on that matter. For once, I am glad that politics are quite slow. You may tell your princess that she doesn't need to worry about my ejection from the council. It should in no way hinder how I will be of service to her.
Boink. Why are you so against Shambhara's help?
Her only way of helping us is to make us instruments of her dark magic. I will allow no such thing.
Why is dark magic bad?
It is evil. It is the forbidden art of the dead, which is the magic that the Death Knights enabled when they reign. The gods saw those beings as evil, worth destroying, and so must we all. Anyone who practices this magic is a traitor to the gods themselves.
I mean, it's his point of view, so I can sort of understand that. But I'll be friendly about it. So you consider people like Shambhara evil?
Yes, because they are.
But why?
Both Shambara and the demons are selfish creatures, using dark magic at the expense of others to serve only themselves.
She wasn't hurting anyone in the forest by herself. She just wanted to live in peace.
She's an outlaw, a wanted woman. She's running from a punishment.
I'm sure all criminals would prefer their crimes to be ignored, to live in peace.
But that is not the way the world works.
I see. What is your relationship with Amukiki?
It is not a close one. He is well known amongst most people of the Empire. However, he and I had brokered a deal regarding the Ember Blade. As you may now realize, the arrangement had not gone according to plan. He is not the sword bearer.
I was not expecting him to continue his allegiance to the sword
After it rejected him. That is his own doing. His combat record is unmatched, so he's a valuable ally, and the princess should be flattered to receive such an oath.
I'm the only person who wished you had stayed behind, Abukiki. You mentioned the old war.
Allow me a guess. You do not know of it.
No, sir.
It was a military campaign, similar to the one we are forging now. When I was a younger man, there was not as much tension between the Empire and the Elves as there is now. We were able to come together more easily, which is why I'm sure Faust is trying to keep us at war with each other. It's in his interest that we be divided. I was not the Archwizard at that time, nor was I one of the few that battled. We lost many wizards in the old war.
Was it a tough battle?
I cannot begin to describe its difficulty, or the cost that had to be paid to win it.
You make it sound like this war on Everburn will be impossible.
We know more about warfare now, and most importantly, we know a lot more about Faust. In the old war, Faust was a much stronger foe, so he is making up for his lack of power with allies. We must crush all that support him. That is our best chance.
And Astrid? You said you knew him from the war.
He was a spirited lad, a young recruit who signed up for the war as soon as he was old enough. Friendship was about the only thing that got us through the war. It kept us in our minds and gave us hope for the future.
It doesn't seem like you stayed in contact with him.
No. Times changed. We were moved to different parts of the world. Events occurred. Sometimes that is how it must be.
It doesn't have to.
Perhaps not.
You were knowledgeable about the old age.
Yes.
Could you tell me more about it?
I could.
Will you?
Very well. Where should I start? The Old Age is the era when our world was ruled by the Death Knights. It was a world of anarchy, lawlessness, and general chaos. It was also the world of the dead. Immortal and undead creatures roamed freely. Creatures of life, such as ourselves, were killed, or more accurately, converted.
How did that happen? Was there a different world before the Old Age?
The gods did create a world much like the one we see today, but with barbaric cultures that only barely resemble our own. Some say that the gods' realm of Inferno decided to wage war against the gods of Elysium. I do not believe this, knowing what I do about the realms of existence. I believe there was a fault in the realms of the dead that allowed them to escape into ours. Because the civilizations were primitive in that time, they stood no chance against dark magic. And that is why the gods created the ancient weapons, one of which Princess Loren currently possesses.
Does the world stand a chance of becoming overrun with Death Knights again?
If we ignore the threat of Everburn, most definitely. It only took time for the world to be consumed by death, and we are giving Everburn plenty of it. Speaking of which, we should waste no time speaking of history.
Hey, this is RPGatWill. I hope you liked this episode of Loren the Amazon Princess. If you want to check out some of my other material, you can click on my channel link below, or you can even subscribe if you'd like. I like to do some silly songs on the side, along with my RPG work. If you want to see some more group-oriented stuff, there's another channel called Gaming Idiots TV that I take part in. That's where we do all our group stuff, so I'll provide a link below if you want to check it out there. See you next time.